Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Top 5 Success Mantras to Run High Velocity Sales. My name is Asaf Ahmed and I'm a passionate business development executive at Cloudonology. Before we start with this amazing webinar, it would be an honor for me to introduce Cloudonology before you. Cloudonology is a leading Salesforce development and consulting company that offers custom Salesforce customization, integration, and migration services. We are also a proud Salesforce Silver Partner company. So, guys, if you're looking for any help with your Salesforce related project, Cloud Knowledge is here to help you with the out of the box services and solutions to meet your business goals. Before we start with the webinar, we would like to offer our condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones due to COVID-19 outbreak. We wish blessings to everyone who is fighting against the coronavirus directly or indirectly. Cloud Knowledge is remotely managing every single client and project while ensuring the safety of our people during this tough time. Keeping this thought in mind, Cloudonology has organized a very special on-demand webinar on impact of coronavirus on global health and Salesforce users, which is hosted by Ajay, the CEO and founder of Cloudonology, and Dr. Kensho. So guys, if you want to access this amazing webinar, you can visit our website, cloudonology.com. And you can also raise any questions if you have for our speakers, Ajay and Dr. Kensho. Let me now introduce today's speaker, Ajay, the CEO and founder of Cloudonology. Ajay is an accomplished technical architect, consultant, and business analyst with global consultancy experience. Ajay has assisted and implemented solutions in industries and including banking, healthcare, networking, education, telecommunication, non-profit, and manufacturing. In the speaker box, we also have Malika. Malika is the Chief Operating Officer at Cloudonology. Malika is a decisive leader who has expertise in critical organizational activities, including change management, industrialized innovation, and seamless delivery of client products and solutions across multiple platforms. So, guys, now without further delay, let me welcome our speakers.
Yeah, thank you, Asaf. Thank you so much. So I can take over from here. Okay, so let me be the presenter. Okay, guys, I'm sure you all can see my screen. Okay, so today we have a very interesting topic, and what I'm going to start with is straight away the 5 mantras. Okay, and then I'm going to pass on to Malika, who will be talking a bit more about the high velocity sales and Salesforce specific tools. Okay, so before I start with my secrets, so-called secrets, which are no longer a secret, it's almost like how it's almost like a time travel. Okay, I would like to say, I would like to use this word very much. Right from my childhood, it was always fascinating me. So before I go ahead with that, I'll like to give you a quick background, okay, from where I'm going to start. So basically, I started myself as a developer. Now, starting as a developer had its own advantages and disadvantages, and many people who have joined today might be a developer at some point of time of their career themselves, and they might actually value being a developer. It had its own advantages. The biggest advantage it was that I could verify and validate any kind of solution because I had the capacity and the experience and the capabilities to build those solutions. The disadvantage was definitely, in fact, no one knows how to sell themselves. But it's almost like you can't be a crybaby. That's because crybaby can be sold only to their parents, not to anyone else. So no one likes a baby crying. Okay, so interestingly, I was able to get some opportunity with the sales team to help them come up with business solutions, and then a curiosity took over to me. It was more towards why and how, like why someone wants to pay for a particular solution, and how that how that decision is made to get that solution done. And later down the line, when I started my own company, I struggled a lot because it was like I was wearing so many hats, right? I was delivering, I was doing a lot of things, and I was also trying to do some sales pitch. Okay, so in those days, I was like more towards doing a sales pitch. Now, what is the difference between sales pitch and basically a complete sales process? I'll be able to explain pretty soon. So started selling because I was able to start selling because I had that knowledge. So definitely this is like obviously my first mantra is knowledge. But before I go to that, I learned this art of selling with concept of presentation. Okay, so I liked a lot about like demoing a particular solution after it is done and coming up with some brilliant ideas to generalize a particular solution so that everyone can use it. Okay, and I'm quite sure like many of the developer can have a smile on that. Like yes, many this is ideally how a developer thinks, okay, or an architect thinks, like how I can generalize my solution so that more use case scenarios can fit into it, or more people can use that particular solution. And ultimately I decided to like go back to books. And to be true, I hate reading books, but I am more like a practical guy and like learn from experience kind of guy. But that was supposed to be done and I did it. So I read more than like 50 books. Yeah, it was too boring. Most of them was boring, had the same repetitive things, which probably might have worked 20 years back, but not now. So then I shifted my focus towards more specific books. Okay, and to those people who will stay until the end of this particular presentation, like this webinar, I'm going to share those particular the name of those 10 books which I would prefer everyone should read. So like top 10 in my checklist. So I would share that with the people with the audience today as well. Now let me start with my first mantra. So first mantra is knowledge. And as you can see, like knowledge comes from everywhere. And when you are selling something, you need to have that knowledge. So many salespeople with whom I worked, they had this doubt of like, okay, how can I gain knowledge? I don't know anything. I'm just selling. I'm just pitching. So and that's where they were lagging behind a lot because they don't know the technology, they don't know the platform, and just like ratifying the names of those technology is way different than actually knowing the capabilities of that technology. So for in this particular case, example is Salesforce itself. If you don't know what you can achieve by Salesforce, what all is feasible, it doesn't matter how it is feasible that much, because how is the job of an architect, a developer, or a consultant again. But whatever is feasible, that is very much important for you to know and understand. Okay, and no matter what platform or what product you are trying to sell. So obviously tools is definitely the most important thing after technology. Tools, let it be whatever tools. Okay, so if you are selling a particular product, you should be knowing its competitors, what are their weakness in those competitive products. No product ever exist without any competition. Okay, so there is very less number, or I don't know, even Facebook or even a small unique product will have some competition. Okay, so you need to know the tools, how they are defined, how they can be done. Definitely the domain and the industry to whom you are trying to sell. Okay, so if you have done a lot of selling or a lot of solution designing kind of selling in real estate, and you're trying to pitch another client from a different domain. Okay, so you should be well prepared for it, that which particular domain, if it is a healthcare domain or a finance domain, like how the approach completely changes. Okay, and if you have the right knowledge about that domain end to end, like how an ideal business is set up in a real estate domain, how an ideal business is set up in a insurance domain. Okay, so if you know that, then you are able to pitch a bit much more better way, and again, you are able to sell better. And you also need to know your team skill sets. Okay, almost ratify it, like what your team capability. By team skill sets, I mean it's like team or product. So if you're selling a particular product, you should know what your product features are, almost by hearted it. And if you are not aware about your own product, you are not able to sell it, right? Even the features which are upcoming features, okay, which are suggested features, similar to what Salesforce does with this release cycles and all. So you need to be aware of what is coming in with in which release and how you will be able to solve it, probably not today, but 3 months later. Okay, so you need to know the skill sets and the product features. And last but not the least, the knowledge is always enhanced with success stories and case studies. So we, in our domain, we call it like success stories, because we want to make sure that every project which closes converts into a case study, which should be a success story as well. Okay, so first mantra, definitely knowledge. Now, moving on to the second and the most interesting mantra is time travel. So I read a particular book by Kennan, and I was very impressed by this book itself. And that talked a lot about gap selling. Okay, so I inherently tried to take that particular idea and improvise on it. So how, and everyone might be fascinated, like what is time travel and sales, like how is that possible? But the thing is, it's all about storytelling. It's a story. It will have a start, it will have an end. So in the same way, the client will be having, or the prospect will be having, a current state. Okay, and the current state will be having some problems, some challenges, some showstoppers, or probably the client might not be aware of, the prospect might not be aware of the problem altogether right from the very beginning because of poor knowledge. And even it might be an incomplete half-built solution which the prospect is not able to analyze or understand, or is having those problems with the existing current state. Okay, and obviously then there is a future state, like where they want to go. And anytime like I go into a sales kickoff call, I always ask, like, what is your top 3 showstopper? What is your top 3 problems which you want to? And that is always a very good icebreaker. You can start your conversation with that, and your prospect will start talking, and then you should be listening very carefully and coming up with the right answers and the right solution. So future state is definitely more like it's moving towards where you want the end client to go. And this entire thing should look like a time travel, like, okay, when this can be done, how this can be done, and this entire solution should go around in your brain to generate this value for the customer. So the difference you are able to not create deliberately, but the difference you are able to highlight in the right way will bring the value for that customer. Okay, so and everyone, it's almost like getting into a hospital after an accident, right? So you have a current state, you're on bed, and you want to be into a future state in which you're all healthy, doing all kind of physical activities and whatever you want to do. Probably not a good example, but it at that time you feel like a time travel, right? Like, when I'll be getting better, and what's the solution, how I'm going to get better. So obviously the second and one of the most important mantras is time travel. We need to ensure that we can track this particular journey and build this time travel. And guys who all are asking questions, I just want to let you know that we'll be having questions, answers round as well. So we can definitely, you can go ahead and definitely ask. And there are like few slides left for me so far. So going ahead, with the next mantra is obviously the process. Okay, now before I talk a bit about process, you need to know, like, there are 5 critical statements of like a current state, and you need to ask the right questions and know the right facts about that customer to understand that current state, and then start defining a process. Okay, so the questions like the facts about your customers and the problems. So what sort of problems they have, how impacted they are with that particular problem, what is the root cause of that particular problem, and what effects those problems have on your prospects state, so current state. Sorry for that. So and then we move on to a process. So winning, so whenever we say like process, it's like I would like to emphasize that winning is important, definitely, but winning on the right time and in the right way is more important. So process, closing a deal is good, but closing it in the right way, in the right process is very much important. Let it be a lead generation process or a sales conversion process or a upsell process. Okay, whatever process you have, you need to improvise, continue building on it, and you need to ensure that you will be able to follow the process and get things done in a right way. Okay, so we should not be jumping a particular process, or we should be in fact making sure that we learn through that particular process as well. So to be successful, everyone needs to be either very lucky or very hardworking. So it might be like hard work definitely beats luck, but what is hard work? Hard work is discipline. And what is discipline? Discipline is following that process in a regular way and improvising on top of it. So following a particular process and in fact improving it definitely should be the goal. And no client is same, so obviously the process should be compatible enough for to fit like or to be generic enough to ensure that it fits the majority of the client to whom you are selling a particular product or that particular services you're trying to sell. And obviously being from a technical background, I was more into towards project plan process. So that's where I started my process building techniques, and I was able to define things like, okay, let me do some requirement gathering, let me go ahead and do some discovery phase and do some meetings, kickoff, analysis, brainstorm, and come up with a success plan with the ROIs which I can definitely meet, or we as a team can definitely meet. So all these initial steps of process and defining a solution must be followed. So that is obviously my third and an interesting mantra. I have spent much of my time doing this, and that is why I'm able to build up this particular piece of company. We are like 180 people right now, and it's all thanks to the process we are able to define and we are able to build on top of it. So coming ahead with my fourth mantra is teamwork. So and everyone will agree on that. So getting the right team members is as equally important as you being the right person. So you should always be able to, should always focus on finding people who are as serious as you are, who are as readily hungry for that success as you are, and also at the same time have the patience to learn and adapt to your particular culture of team culture. Okay, so you need to get the right team members. And with my personal experience, I have tried multiple times to build this sales team in cloud analogy, and have many times fired the entire team. So it's always important that you improvise and you try to find the right people who can build that particular team. Okay, and a pipeline. So basically what happens when a particular team works is they should be working on a pipeline. Okay, so pipeline should be managed end to end with a particular team, and pipeline management can obviously be a traditional one, which happens to be very basic, straightforward. In most of the CRM, they give you out of box kind of pipeline thing, but you should also try to focus more towards that journey, that time travel kind of pipeline which I was talking about. So to ensure that that particular time traveling, like that journey between their current state and their future state, and their describing, and that entire process is built, that is more important. Even on a level, it's not that important. It's very much important that you should be having that weekly meetings rather than only looking at the pipeline. Okay, so rather than only looking at the pipeline and seeing like okay, what's where, rather than it should be a weekly meeting with a teamwork where everyone can share their ideas and their results. Many times in many sales team I have seen like they have several infightings, and because probably they are definitely having a different separate goals. Okay, so in teams where there are different salespeople and they are having their own individual goals, and they are not focused much towards that team goal, neither the leader in that particular team, and those teams face a lot of infightings and a lot of problems, and which should definitely be avoided with the right leadership. So, and there comes the trust kind of thing. So trust but verify. So if your salespeople cannot gain influence over their deals, then they are not selling. They are actually just pitching, and that's the difference between sell and pitch. If they have earned the credibility by influencing only, if they have earned the credibility, then only they will be able to sort of sell in a much better way. So, and the team must be definitely committed to their goal, and challenge them, ask them. So there is like a very good example I do most of the time is, I always, rather than me giving a particular target or a challenge, I do the team do its job. Like, okay, come on, anyone can go ahead with their sort of what do they think they can target for. And many times, if especially it's a newbie who doesn't know things, they would be setting up their impossible targets. Okay, so and ideally what I do is ensure that the team moves forward with that particular target more like a team. And by team means is sharing experiences and sharing the know-hows, know-abouts about that particular client. Okay, so that should be the starting point. And definitely once it moves like a team, then only that those individual challenges or individual goals will also be achieved, no matter how big it is. And at the end, it's always about client success is my success. So this is like a paraphrase I always use in my signature, like email signature or everywhere. And that's very true. Like if your end client is success, only then you will be successful. Otherwise, you can't be a successful sell guy. So you also need to make sure that you're selling the right thing and with the right team. Now, moving ahead to the last mantra, I would like to ask a simple question, okay? And no one needs to shout it out loud, but this is a very common question I ask almost to everyone. So what is the difference between villain and super villain? And I hope everyone can type in their answer. Like I'll counting till 10. I'll be counting till 10, and people can probably type in their answers. So what is the difference between a villain and a super villain? And obviously the answer is my fifth mantra. So I'll count till 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, it looks like few people have answered. Ankit has answered villain destroys single life and super villain destroys everyone. Okay, so let me give you the answer. The answer is kick-ass presentation. So a villain will be a villain, okay, but a super villain will have an awesome presentation. So it will come up with that particular thing we call bhokali. So it will be all full of fear and anger and like creating fear in other people's heart and all. So a kick-ass presentation is very much needed. And to do that, you definitely need to prepare, practice, present, prepare, practice, present. That's what I tell to my team. And I try to enforce this to the team to a very great deal, that uh, preparation, practice, like presentation or demo should not be brainstorming session. Okay, so whenever we get into a particular presentation, it should not look like you are still asking questions to the client or prospect, and still there is a sense of a brainstorming or a discovery phase going on. So that should never be. You should be well prepared and practiced about it. Okay, so that you are able to give a very good presentation. You cannot customize your demo unless you know what problems you're trying to solve. So which means if you don't have answers to the client's question, then there should not be a presentation at all. So basic questions, like very basic questions. Can you fix a prospect's problem? Okay, are you able to find, are you able to, are you and the prospect on the same page regarding that problem? Like the solution which you are going to present, uh, are they, or the prospect will be able to understand and comprehend that solution? So does prospect really want that solution? That is also a very important question. So will prospect do go through this entire journey, this time travel with you or not? So those sort of type of right questions you should be asking, and that will ensure that yeah, you have a very good presentation. Absolutely don't say if. So if, what I mean by if is more like the reason. Okay, there should not be a reason to say if in a presentation, and this comes from mostly from my development background, that because you must be knowing all the paths, right? So when we write a code, we know what all if then else logic will go. So you must be certain with replacing ifs with user stories and solutions. So in a particular demo, you should not be like, okay, if this happens, then this happens, rather than if this particular solution doesn't work. There should not be if. Okay, there should be, these are the three solutions and these are the three use cases which I'm going to present right now. So it should be something like that, and right features only. So definitely your product might be having 30 features, okay, your or 300 features. Your services, you might be selling all the kind of services. Like you ask me, I'll develop everything and anything, but you should be focusing more towards the right features only, which that particular prospect is looking for. Okay, so rather than boring a particular prospect with your 30 different features your product, so awesome product is having, you should be focusing more towards how you are going to take that current state to future state journey with your solution, and those 3 or 4 or 5 important features which will do the make or break kind of concept. So first 3 minutes is definitely a make or break. Okay, and I've learned this from various different ways. Okay, many people have a very short span of focus. Okay, and many times a decision maker in a company will like while giving a particular demo, a prospect will take away into a journey right in the first 3 minutes, whether they are going to close that deal with you or not, because that's like the first 3 minutes matter a lot, and how interesting it is, how you are able to explain the problem better than them, which will ensure that you have understood their requirements, you have understood what their challenges are, and you are able to suggest a very good, well-defined solution, probably with some options as well. So that definitely makes or breaks. The first 3 minutes is a make or break. And make sure you start with the right tone, focusing more what client wants and their problem. And from a tone, it's like don't go too fast, don't go too slow. And how that can be achieved, definitely practice. Okay, so always try to showcase that what is coming up in the next slide or how much of the demo is left. Like this numbering, I mentioned 5 mantras and this is the fifth slide and I'm done. Okay, so I'll be sending an email to all the people who have joined this meeting with the top 10 sales book I would prefer you all to read. And before moving on to Malika, I would let the floor for questions. Go ahead, guys. You can ask your questions. So we will probably wait for like 2-3 minutes to have some questions over here. And also, if you can help me with if there is any questions. Yep.
Yeah, sure, Ajay. So we have one question from Ankit. So Ankit wants to know if there is any good color combination for a good PPT.
So yeah, definitely, Ankit. So it's probably a graphics designing question, but most of the professional PPTs look different than rather than like a school presentation is completely different, or some other presentation if you're selling something else, like a real estate, a building, or an apartment, or if you're selling a product like Coca-Cola or edible product. So every different product has their own sort of color combination and all. So, and you can probably Google it, or that's a good question, and I'll try to make sure that someone from my graphics team is able to answer that, and probably will write a blog about it. Yeah, any more question, guys?
So we have one question from Nav, and he wants to know that if we are providing a recording and the name of the book that you're telling about.
Yeah, definitely the recordings, and whoever has attended will send them an email with the names of the books. Yeah. So someone has also asked, hello, are these mantras can be applicable for students as well? So I would say uh, uh, it's tough to decide like how it will be applicable for the students. It's more towards like if you're probably going towards more towards selling as a BD profile, or a business developer profile, or something on that domain, probably that is going to help you over there. As well as if you are moving towards a consultant profile in Salesforce, and you are able to explain some valuable things of how to do sales closure to your end client, they will probably uh, know and understand, like, yeah, this is the right person who will be able to set up this sales process, like in your CRM, in that particular client CRM. So yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I say hi, Ajay. Thanks for this webinar. Like, I have a question regarding low budget client. Sometimes they want lots of things, but they don't want to pay. They have limited budget. So, how, as a sales guy, I should handle those kinds of things?
Yeah, very good question. See, what I would suggest is you should definitely be coming up with two questions. Number one, always try to understand the budget beforehand rather than coming up with that solution. Okay. Now, what happens? What I do most of the time is like I ask them directly. Okay. And many of the end clients will tell you genuinely if they have a particular budget or if they don't have a particular budget. And almost 50% of the time, the client is already aware of the solution. Okay. Or to say like they are aware of some part of the journey, like okay, what it is going to take. So coming up with like meeting a particular client who have a very low budget and they want to get 30 different things done, definitely that's won't be possible. You need to just be very specific, transparent, and clear and to the point, like okay, this is possible in this much budget, and that's it. Okay. And what other options, if there is anything possible, then definitely go ahead with it. Like something, rather than custom building everything, you can come up with a well-defined tool, or in case of Salesforce, it's like app exchange product. Okay. So if my client wants me to integrate QuickBooks and Salesforce, so I'll be more toward, and doesn't have the budget for it, uh, I'll be more towards providing them a readily available solution. Like, okay, see, this is the solution. I'll help you set up and configure it. Okay, rather than building the entire integration, writing the codes, testing it out, doing it, like going through the cycle again and again. So be truthful and transparent and straightforward. By the way, good question. Any other person? Any question, guys?
Ajay, I think we are good to go ahead, and now let's welcome Malika to our presentation.
Yep. Thank you.
I hope everyone can see my screen. Today so first of all, I'd just like to say hi everyone, and thank you also for that amazing introduction at the very beginning. I couldn't say anything because I think for some reason my mic wasn't working. And thank you everyone for joining and taking some time out of their busy schedule to join us in this webinar with us. And also AJ, that presentation and those 5 mantras and sharing your thoughts, it was very enlightening and helpful. So thank you for that as well. And before starting, I just like to let you guys again know that whatever questions or comments or any points that you feel to add, you can do that, and you can leave your questions in the comment box, and at the end of my session I'll try to answer as many of those questions. And later on we also have a very interesting interactive activity with for our joinees that that we'll be revealing at the end of my session. So I'm not going to reveal the surprise for you guys. Okay, so so the agenda of my part is that I'll be touching upon general sales, but exactly what are the key roles of sales and basic activities that are being done in almost all of the sales departments in the companies today, and some tools which are really handy for those sales representatives. And we'll be also trying to look upon why inside sales is important, what Salesforce can offer to improve the performance of inside sales, and why the best practices are required these days to keep up in their game in this competitive environment. And also then after that we'll be touching upon what is high velocity sales, how can high velocity sales help you guys to improve your sales department and their productivity. And yeah, okay, so let's just start and without dealing any further. Okay. So if I talk about sales part, so many companies today, what happens is that they look at sales activity as a one-size-fits-all department within an organization. So it is important to understand that in the modern age of selling, there are specialities within the sales processes that help create a more efficient and productive approach to customer acquisition as well as their growth. So some of the key roles, that maximizes revenue and while reducing the cost and allow for effective training, hiring, and ongoing coaching and management. Sorry. So they are inside sales, which are in-house sales department, sales development, that which is more or less a subset of inside sales. Account managers that deals with the current customers that the company has, and field sales, that which is more like a traditional approach to selling, where sales reps are out in the field and approaching clients face to face. And then sales support is basically the executives that helps all sales representatives by providing them information, gathering up those data, analyzing it, creating a list of prospectors, and also sales support is actually like the base of the sales department. Okay, so I think sales happen through consistency and strategy, and to make sales more consistent, every company needs to identify their basic sales activities first and strategize around them. So the basic sales activities that are found in almost all the companies within a sales department are, first of all, a customer relationship management tool for gathering data at one place. This might be optional. Some companies may have it, some companies don't. Cold calling for creating and maintaining the pipeline, analysis of the data or account mining for the new prospects, setting up timely schedules to keep up with the customers, communications and collaboration within the sales department, warm up and nurture the relationship with the customer, staying organized and in control of the work, tailoring messages and email templates to best suit the client, staying ahead of the given goal targets, and follow up, which I think is a must-have activity for any sales representative. So these are just the basic activities that can be present in any company of any size. And these can be tailored to the needs and structure of the company. So some may have less or more of these activities, but what's important is to have a well-defined activities which can be followed by the sales reps. So now, to perform the above said, activities, some handy tools that are required by the salesperson to outreach, prospects and maintain their pipeline. Sorry, which I think are is a CRM tool, a customer relationship management platform, email tool with a follow-up or scheduling functionality, messaging tool, and a telephonic system. So if the above systems and tools can be integrated with the CRM platform that they're having, this will be ideal for the sales department to have everything in one platform, rather than having to switch between multiple apps and systems, which can be a bit messy for them and may delay their work. So, next that we'll be looking upon is why inside sales is important. So sales engagement, I think, has moved from traditional channels to digital channels now, and you can see out there that there have been so many articles or blogs that people are writing about the importance of digital marketing and how it can improve our perspective of reaching the clients without approaching them face to face. So and while traditional automation solutions still value face-to-face interactions, today's reps are using technology like emails, messaging, and video conferencing, chat, and voice over IP as part of their sales processes. So in fact, reps today spend around 6 times more time selling in front of a screen than they do in person. And it's a business model that's gaining in popularity. So also, I found out that research shows that inside sales are growing 15 times faster than field sales roles. which means that it's important for companies to stay ahead of the curve with their teams and their technology. Okay, what can Salesforce do for inside sales? So on an average, an inside sales rep spends only 32% of the day selling. The rest of the time is actually being, spent in maintaining the data, looking up the information, trying to plan out, which lead to call next, or logging notes, and all of that is split between different systems. So that actually takes a lot of time to maintain and everything. And sometimes, having multiple systems and apps can cost more money to the company than having one CRM platform. So for which Salesforce has come up with high velocity sales, which provide inside sales reps with an accelerated inside sales process with a high productivity workspace. So with sales cadences, managers can create custom sales processes that guide sales reps by handling different types of perspectives. Those cadences appear for sales reps in the work queue, a task list that appears inside the sales reps console, and with other productivity boosting features like lightning dialer, lead scoring, and out of the box reports. The sales teams have everything they need to handle prospects in a fraction of the time it looks before. So you'll get to know, you'll be able to get a good idea when I'll be showing some I'll be showing some screenshots later on in my session today. So yeah, so I think you'll be able to get some good ideas. And if we talk about the importance of best practices needed, for improving the inside sales, I think best practices are something that brings in a process, a well-defined process, and a well-defined process can really help in improving the productivity of any department, be it sales or marketing or finance or any other department. And even I I came up across some information that according to Salesforce's 2018 State of Sales report, the number of inside sales reps around the world has increased by 7% since 2015. And sales reps are spending significantly more time in front of a screen. Inside sales reps have a different focus than the field sales reps, who concentrate on a smaller set of prospects and often use a more personal touch when dealing with the leads. So in high velocity sales, a section of the sales department tries to contact a large list of prospects using different channels like email, chat, or phone, following up based on recommendations from the software or what a manager and administrator determines as the next best step. So if we talk about what is high velocity sales, it is basically a set of tools that automatically prioritize the leads based on the probability of its conversion using Einstein lead scoring. And some of the tools that are included in high velocity sales are Einstein lead scoring, which I mentioned, it helps in prioritizing the leads to help reps convert their leads. Sales cadences help you set up the pace and lead the way. Work queues empower reps to make the most of every moment. Like, I'm sorry about that. Lightning email and a lightning dialer, which actually helps in calling prospects faster with one click using this tool. So each of the above feature makes the inside sales reps more productive and effective, thereby helping them to reach out to more leads in less amount of time. And some of the features are that it is AI powered, so it reduces a good amount of time that sales reps can invest while performing manual tasks of data entry in multiple apps and platforms. And it has a sales console, which helps in providing a unified and intuitive sales experience to sell faster, and it appears all in one screen. So from following up on leads and assessing companies to identify key contacts and more. And also high velocity sales is available only in Lightning experience and is workable in enterprise, performance, and unlimited editions. Okay. So to understand a bit more about this, there are three things to look upon. First, you need to set up high velocity sales in your Salesforce orgs. So there is a huge guideline available on this on Salesforce. So, and when I was looking at it, so I couldn't add more points onto it because each because you need to provide certain permissions to every user, and you need to take care of certain requirements, which I think would take a lot of time if I would include that part in today's session. So everyone, whoever is interested, you can go to the Salesforce, you can look up that guideline, and step by step they've mentioned that, how you can set it up in your Salesforce org. So whoever's interested, just go ahead and they can do it. So next part, which is streamline prospect outreach with sales cadences. And the next is increasing sales productivity with high velocity sales. So streamline outreach with sales cadences. It includes sales cadences, which I mentioned is like a whole that you can see everything in just one screen. So you don't really have to move to multiple screens or to multiple apps. So sales cadences helps in managing everything, and makes you see whatever list or leads that you want to see on just one screen. Next, it has create a call scripts and email templates, which I think is really important because you cannot pitch the same script or template to each to all the prospects, because that is a bit silly. You cannot do that. So it helps in actually providing you and make up a script for each email and a call. So that is very, very, I think, important. Create and activate a sales cadence, which again, once you set up the high velocity sales in your Salesforce orgs, it's the next, it can help you in activating a sales cadence, and we will be touching about this a bit in the next for the slides. Next we have is high velocity sales cadence. So there are also examples that I'll be showing in the screenshots. Add prospects to a sales cadence. Again, I'll be showing it. So most of these items, we have certain screenshots that that you'll be having. You can get a good idea when I'll be showing the screenshots. So yeah, add or remove prospects to or from high velocity sales cadences automatically. Then view a sales cadence, report on sales cadence performance, remove prospects, delete a high velocity sales cadence. So yeah, just basic things that you can do in your high velocity sales when it is set up. So okay, increasing sales productivity with high velocity sales. Here it talks about adding leads, contacts, or person accounts to your work queue, which which I think adding prospects to your work queue from list views to record detail pages, and this will be shown again further in screenshots, so you guys need to wait for that. Okay, so this is how the high velocity sales will look when you'll be working on it. So let me start explaining it point wise. So the console features a navigation friendly 3-column layout that includes highlights panel, which is the first one, the familiar workspace, which is the second one, and useful related list, which is third one on the right. So with this split view, the reps can see a list view while they view the workspace tabs and sub tabs. And so they get everything they need in one workspace. You can customize it, or you can leave it as a default layout for your company's business processes. So it's up to you guys. Okay. So reps can pin tabs such as home, which you can see on fourth point. For easy access to useful content, home provides reps an overview of what's waiting for them in the work queue. It can also be customized, for users to show relevant reports and dashboards. And also, your reps can get the most out of high velocity sales with the work queue, which is on the left hand side, fifth image. In this split view, with the work queue, reps see a prioritized list of emails, calls, and tasks. And these activities are defined by the sales cadences created by sales managers. And reps can also tackle their own list of one-off activities from my list. which again is shown in the fifth point itself. Okay, so the sales cadences tab show details for each sales cadence, including whether it is in draft or inactive, which is second, the state of a particular sales cadence. So when in draft, a sales manager can edit the sales cadence. After the sales cadence is activated, the sales manager, can assign leads and contacts and person accounts onto the sales cadence, but the steps can't be changed. And here you can add targets, in your sales cadence. So this is shown on the related, related page of sales cadence. Yeah, this is how to draft a plan, to outreach your prospects and new leads. So the sales cadence steps related list shows the prospect engagement for each sales outreach. For example, a sales manager, could build a sales cadence guiding reps to make 2 back-to-back calls, then wait a half day, and then call again or send an email. And sales managers can use the sales cadence builder to create each scheduled outreach plan, as you can see here. So you can click the plus icon to add any email or call, and then add a wait period or a custom step that that you feel is required in your particular lead. And such as setting up a meeting or sending a text message, and when prospect completes a sales cadence, you can add them to another automatically. Here it's a more detailed one. So to make your sales outreach more responsive to prospect engagement, you can build a branch sales cadence with different outreach steps depending on the results of a call or an email. So to build a sales cadence that takes prospects through different sales steps based on a call result, add a call step followed by a branch step. For each call result branch step, choose which call outcome value to look for, such as meaningful connect or left a voicemail. So this is how it's gonna look when you'll be adding all those branch steps and the main steps. Okay, this can also be done for the emails. So sales cadences can also take prospects through different sales steps based on whether the prospect engages within an email. So you can add a user, so you can add a listener branch step after an email to send the prospect down the correct branch. Now to create a branch based on email engagement, add a listener branch step after an email step. Now the listener branch step waits to see whether the prospect opens the email or clicks a link in the email and sends the prospect down the correct branch. If the prospect opens the email, the sales cadence takes them through the steps in the yes branch. If they don't open the email, they follow the no branch. It's just like creating a flow diagram for each of your lead prospects. It just helps you, guiding each step for your sales representatives. Okay. So after a sales cadence is activated, sales managers or representatives can add prospects right from a lead, contact, or a person account detail page by clicking that add to sales cadence action, which is first point. Then choose a sales cadence to start the prospect on a specific set of scheduled outreach. Yeah. Okay. So so when your Salesforce admin adds the sales cadence steps component to lead contact and person account page layouts, sales reps and managers can see where their prospects are within the sales cadence. Sales reps can act on the next steps right and right from the record detail page, which you can see on the right hand side in this image. So this is all I wanted to share with you guys, like how it's going to feel and what all things you can do with high velocity sales. So there is a much potential to improving the productivity in your sales department. If you guys feel like that purchasing licenses of different apps or platforms it's going to cost you much, so definitely go for one place which can integrate everything. So yeah, Okay, so so any questions for me so far that that I can answer for you guys? So we'll be waiting for a few more minutes for you guys, to raise any question that you have in this sort of a demo, through screenshots. So I'll be waiting here a few more minutes, and then we'll be going on to our activity for the end of the session. Yeah. Okay, so I have a question here. Okay, two questions. So first question is, can we use Salesforce Einstein product in sales? So I did mention Einstein leads. So that is something that comes with the high velocity sales. It's one of the features and tools that you can use when you'll be setting up the high velocity sales. I'm not sure if you can integrate the Salesforce Einstein. I think you can still if you can still find the way to integrate it if you need it. But there is also an inbuilt tool which is Einstein lead scoring. So I think that will really help you. I hope that answers your question. And how is Einstein useful in sales? Okay, I think it's like a sub part of the above question. Again, I mentioned that it's a tool that helps in the tool that comes in the high velocity sales, which is Einstein lead scoring. That helps in prioritizing the list of prospects and leads for the sales executives. So that is important for the sales rep to see which prospect has a higher chance of converting into an engagement and which ones aren't, and which sales lead to reach now and which to a bit later. So those things are important for sales representatives to know, to in order to approach their clients and the new prospects. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys, that you have, that you want to ask, or any point that you want to add? It doesn't really have to be a question. You can either also, you can also add a point that if you thought while listening, or you thought that okay, this is going to be interesting, and we can discuss about it. Yeah. Okay, I have a hand raise here from Sushma Tiwari. Yeah. Okay, is Einstein lead scoring available for all Salesforce editions? No, as I mentioned that, a high velocity sales is available on particular Salesforce editions, which were performance, unlimited, and professional. I forgot, but only in these three editions, the high velocity sales and their tools will be available for you to use. So yeah.
Malika, I think now we are good to go ahead to our next activity round.
Okay. All right. So guys, as I mentioned at the start of my session that we have an interacting session for you guys. So what we need is that, since we had a few questions from you, but we also want to know your feedback of, how you felt about our webinar. So we're going to have a retrospective activity which where you can tell us what went well, or what needs to be improved, so so we can learn and we can improve those areas, for in our future webinars. And also, if you can please share the link with our joiners, so so they can open that link. And
Yeah,
if you
guys,
yeah,
sorry, Malika, go ahead.
it's okay. No, please go ahead. Yeah.
So, guys, you would have received a link in your chat box. You just need to open that link. Malika, you can also open that link and can share everyone what
Yeah.
activity we are talking about.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so once you open that link, it's going to look somewhat like this. It has 3 sections. So first is what went well. The second is what can be improved. I'd like to first, want you guys to fill out these 2 sections, what went well and what can be improved. So how you can do it is click on the plus section, add your comments, is like whatever your comments are, or whatever you think that, your feedback is. That, for example, I really liked so it doesn't really have to be like this. You can also mention something like, if you feel that that it wasn't really boring or it was interesting. I don't know about you guys. So whatever it is, you don't really have to mention about the points that we discussed, but also what you overall felt like, felt about this webinar. So please go ahead and please fill in as many comments or feedbacks that you have. Mhm. And also, if you can start filling up what can be improved section as well, so that so we can also work on our action items later on from these 2 sections. Okay. So while everyone is filling up this, we're going to start discussing what we have till now. So there was first one that I had. I'm not going to talk about that, but we can still consider it. So the next point in what went well is interactive webinar. Thank you. Next is informative webinar, good Q&A round, and good points discussed. Okay, so I think more mantras. So I think I can, yeah, any marketing mantras, sure. And at this section, we have what can be improved. Is one person has mentioned need more Q&A round. more webinar like these. Well, hopefully we will in the future. We're working on this. Any upcoming webinar? Sure. We do have, which also will be telling you later. More marketing mantras. We also have related to this, in what went well, any marketing mantras and more marketing mantras. So yeah. So I'm going to give you just a minute more to fill in, and then we are going to take out some action items from these two sections. Yeah. Okay. Of course. Okay, so we have like a huge demand for Ajay's more success mantras. Definitely, we'll try and provide you those, or I'll ask Ajay to email people and have
Yeah,
more
definitely.
webinars like this.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. So
Ajay,
what
I
I'm
think
going to
there's
do.
like a huge demand for your mantras and marketing and sales both.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely I'm going to plan out another webinar for marketing mantras as well, because I think, especially from a group of people who are trying to promote themselves as well, so it will be helpful for them. So yeah, definitely let's plan out another webinar for marketing mantras, and this time we'll be making it a more elaborative list.
Sure. Any industry specific mantras? Yep. I think definitely, we're going to discuss these things. Yeah. Okay. So so now I'll be joining the alike comments from you guys. So here is mentioned interactive webinar and informative. Good points discussed. The good point discussed can go. Yeah. Go here. Sure. And these can, yeah. So yeah, now it's showing. So I am merging your comments together, so so we can come up with like a whole set of comments for everything. And I think I can add my comment to that as well. Yeah. Here, from what can be improved. So need more QA. I think I have like more comments regarding that. More marketing mantras. I think I can add webinar ones together. Sure. Yeah, more marketing mantras and sales. I'm gonna add it into this one. So you can see what I'm doing is like I'm trying to like merge all the related comments here, so we can work on the action items later. Industry specific. I'm gonna add it here. In Salesforce webinars, we do have a lot of Salesforce webinars, so yeah, definitely. So these two can be joined. Okay, so what I feel is like, people need more webinars like these. So we're going to work on it, and we're going to take this here as an action item to work upon and get more topics like these for you guys. More Q&A round. Well, it depends on the time, but still, we can work on it, and we can, still find more ways for you, to share your comments and questions with us. I tried to merge it. Yeah. We do a lot of Salesforce demos and features. When we're talking about features, we do that. Somehow it's not coming into action. I think I'll try. Yeah, now it is. So marketing mantras, definitely, as Ajay mentioned, he'll be working on it and he'll be sharing those topics here. And what went well, interactive webinars. So we're going to keep it like this. We're going to discuss good points. We're going to come up with good topics for you guys. Definitely. Okay, and interactive one again. Yeah. So this is, I think the final action items that I feel is that, we need to have more interactive webinars where you can share more questions with us and we can answer those, and where also you can, leave your comments or any points to add. More webinars like these on Salesforce and marketing and sales mantras. Definitely we'll work on it. We'll share those topics and we'll try to, to come up with those as many as possible. Definitely, we do have Salesforce features with demo. We'll be definitely, sharing those with you guys as well. And yeah, so that's it. That's all that, that we had the activity for you guys. Thank you so much joining today, and hope you guys, liked it and find it informative and interactive and interesting. Thank you so much, guys. Over to you, Asaf.
Thank you, Malika.
Yeah.
So thank you, Malika and Ajay, for sharing some wonderful tips and mantras about sales and high velocity sales. Before we end this amazing webinar, I would like to tell you that we also have an upcoming webinar on 14th May 2020 at 3 p.m. GMT, which is on about how to transform your approach to client management, which will be hosted by Soumya. Soumya is a Chief Information Innovation and Process Officer at Cloudonology. Joining Soumya will be Abha. Abha is a lead consultant at Cloudonology. Thank you guys for joining our webinar, and we'll see you next time.